Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Some pain doesn't scream. It sits quietly in your chest, like a song you never wanted to hear on repeat. When someone you trusted, loved, maybe even imagined forever with, turns their back on you, it doesn't just feel like loss. It feels like betrayal, like watching your own reflection disappear in the silence they left behind. You wonder what went wrong, what you missed, and worst of all, you wonder if she ever truly cared. But here's a hard truth. People don't always leave because you weren't enough. Sometimes they leave because they never understood what enough even looks like. In today's world of filtered feelings and scrolling distractions, love has turned into a highlight reel, and heartbreak into a trend. Social media teaches us to move on before we heal, to post a happy face while bleeding inside. But deep love can't be deleted like a photo, and neither can the lessons it leaves behind. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Think about that. Maybe she hurt you, but what really breaks us is the meaning we attach to her actions. Did you see her silence as rejection, her coldness as confirmation that you weren't worthy, or were those just mirrors reflecting your own self-doubt? The truth is, when a woman hurts a man who loved her purely, with loyalty and heart, she loses something too. But the irony? She realizes it only when you stop chasing, stop explaining, and start transforming. Because the most unforgettable revenge is evolution. Today, we're not here to talk about playing mind games or faking happiness to make her jealous. We're going to uncover 7 secret strategies to reclaim your power, not from her, but from the part of yourself that forgot who you are. These are rooted in psychology, in real-life experience, and in the quiet strength that Stoic wisdom teaches us. And yes, through every step, there will be a little cute bit, because healing doesn't have to be cold. If she hurt you, don't rush to erase her. Rise so far that she can't reach anymore, not out of cruelty, but clarity. Let her watch you rebuild, stronger, wiser, and softer where it matters. That's when she'll feel it. That's when she'll whisper to herself, "I lost something I'll never find again." So today, my friends, let's go deeper than the pain. Let's unlock the strength that hides behind heartbreak. We're about to discover 7 secret ways to make her realize what she lost, not through noise, but through becoming unforgettable. Let's go start. Point 1. Stop reacting. Start reclaiming your energy. When someone breaks your heart, the first instinct is almost always reaction. You want to respond to her silence. You want to decode her mixed signals, reply to her cryptic stories, and sometimes you even want to make her feel what you're feeling, the ache, the emptiness, the emotional whiplash. But here's the harsh reality. Every time you react, you surrender a piece of your energy to someone who already walked away from your soul. In this digital age, heartbreak isn't quiet anymore. It's performative. She blocks, unblocks, likes your posts at 2 a.m., and watches your stories without a word. You feel her shadow, but never her hand. And in that space of ambiguity, you begin to crumble. Not because she's powerful, but because you've forgotten how to own your own light. You see, emotional dignity isn't loud. It doesn't beg for closure. It doesn't chase breadcrumbs. It does what Marcus Aurelius once whispered through the ages. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength isn't in the clapbacks or the comeback posts. It's in your silence, not the weak, bitter kind, but the kind that says, "I am no longer performing for your attention." Imagine your soul like a sacred fire. Every time you react to her drama, you throw water on your own flame. But when you pause, when you reclaim that energy and pour it into yourself, into your passions, your health, your growth, your art, you stop being her emotional puppet. You become your own force of nature. And yes, maybe part of you still wants her to notice. That's okay. That's human. But the paradox is, The moment you stop needing her to notice is the very moment she starts, because attention isn't magnetic, evolution is. When she sees you no longer orbiting her, that you're not trying to prove anything, not even your pain, she'll feel a vacuum. She'll feel the absence of your devotion, and that absence will echo louder than any angry message ever could. There's something quietly poetic in becoming untouchable, not out of arrogance, but out of resurrection. You're not just moving on, you're ascending. And while she may scroll past your new life pretending not to care, a part of her will pause, because what she sees is a man who didn't just survive, he refined. So don't react, rebuild, don't seek closure, become it. Channel every ounce of that heartbreak into your evolution, and soon enough, the pain will turn into power, and the silence you once feared will become your most elegant language. And she'll watch, quietly, and one day she'll whisper into her own loneliness, "I should have stayed when his love still asked for me." Point 2. Disappear with purpose. Let the silence speak louder than words. Sometimes, the most profound move you can make is to disappear, not out of bitterness, not to manipulate her emotions, but to reclaim the narrative of your own story. There's a kind of graceful strength in vanishing, not from life, but from the parts of it that no longer nourish your soul. When she hurt you, what she expected was your reaction, a message, a confrontation, a desperate attempt to win her back, because that's how modern love has been conditioned: messy, reactive, and painfully performative. We see people broadcast their pain like it's entertainment. Heartbreak becomes content, healing becomes a hashtag. But what if your silence isn't passive, but purposeful? There's a reason why Marcus Aurelius emphasized withdrawal into oneself. He wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. So disappear, retreat, but not to sulk, to rebuild. Pull your presence back like the ocean pulling before the wave. Let your absence become art." Because here's the truth: women feel absence more than presence, especially when the presence was once warm, giving, and real. When you go quiet, you remove the drama. You take away her favorite stage, and in the silence, she will hear what your words could never say. "I am no longer available to be hurt by you." But don't just disappear digitally, disappear emotionally. Stop watching her stories. Stop wondering what she's thinking. Don't make her the sun around which your healing orbits. Instead, become your own source of light. Fill your time with books, long walks, deep conversations with people who see your soul. Hit the gym not to show her what she lost, but to remember how powerful you can be when you fight for yourself. This kind of disappearance is not a game. It's a strategy of peace, a retreat into the forest of your own spirit. And in that stillness, something incredible begins. Clarity. You begin to see that maybe the love you gave her wasn't meant for her growth. It was meant for your own awakening. People only miss you when they realize they can't reach you anymore. And trust me, if she had even a fraction of genuine connection with you, she'll feel your distance like cold air in the middle of summer. She won't know how to name it, but she'll feel the loss. And when she does, she won't remember the last fight. She'll remember how safe your presence once felt. She'll remember how you made her laugh without trying. And she'll remember the silence you left behind, not as punishment, but as a mirror. So fade, not like someone defeated, but like someone evolved, someone too deep for the shallow end of love. And if she ever comes looking, don't greet her with bitterness. Greet her with the man you've become, because disappearing isn't vanishing, it's arriving into yourself. Point 3. Elevate yourself so high she can no longer reach you emotionally. The deepest revenge is not retaliation, it's reinvention. When she hurt you, she expected pain to define you. She thought you'd spiral, cry in silence, post cryptic quotes, or drown in late-night overthinking. But what she didn't expect was that you'd rise, that you'd evolve so profoundly she would no longer recognize the man she once dismissed. Elevation is silent. It doesn't seek applause or revenge. It doesn't aim to make her jealous. It aims to make you powerful, not over her, but over yourself. You see, we often misunderstand heartbreak. We think it's about losing someone we love, but in truth, it's the sudden realization that we gave our essence to someone who never saw it clearly. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And in that spirit, the real response to pain is transcendence. When you elevate, you're no longer trying to be seen. You're focused on seeing yourself. That means you hit the gym not to glow up for her, but to reconnect with your own strength. You learn a new language, start that business, write that book, not to flaunt, but because growth is your new romance. Social media may try to pull you back. You'll see her stories. She might like one of yours, maybe even send a subtle signal just to test if she still has a grip on your emotions. But here's the turning point. You don't flinch because your heart now beats to a higher rhythm. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming sovereign, unshakable. She hurt the version of you that once needed her validation. That version is gone now, buried beneath layers of wisdom, effort, and self-worth. You're no longer the man who hoped she'd return. You've become the man who's too rare to be found in the same place again. And ironically, that's what haunts her. Not your absence, your evolution. Because when a man rises in silence, the world eventually hears it, not through noise, but through the quiet weight of his presence. So let her scroll through your life and wonder, did I ever really know him? And let the answer echo in your growth. Don't elevate to impress. Elevate to escape her gravitational pull, because once you've tasted the atmosphere of your own greatness, you'll never settle for the oxygen of old pain again. Point 4. Set boundaries, not walls. Protect your peace. Often, when someone breaks our trust, we react by building walls around our hearts. We think these walls will protect us. They might keep out the hurt, the heartbreak, and the fear of being vulnerable again. But in reality, these walls trap us. They trap us in isolation. They make us prisoners of our own pain. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This timeless wisdom tells us that the obstacle is not the end, but the path to our growth. When someone betrays us, our first instinct might be to shut down, to guard ourselves so fiercely that we no longer allow anyone to get close. But that's not true protection. True protection comes when we learn to set boundaries, not walls. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect. It's the difference between being a passive recipient of others' actions and becoming an active architect of your own emotional landscape. Boundaries don't scream, they whisper. They're not loud declarations of what others did wrong. They're quiet affirmations of what you won't tolerate anymore. They are the act of telling the world, I value myself too much to accept anything less than what I deserve. The beauty of boundaries is that they empower us. They give us the strength to say, I can still love you, but I will no longer tolerate behavior that diminishes my peace. Boundaries are the tools we use to protect our inner harmony while allowing space for genuine connection. When we set boundaries, we don't cut people off. We simply ensure that only those who respect us and our energy can enter. We stop letting other people's actions dictate our emotional responses. We've all been there, the emotional roller coaster of wondering why someone hasn't replied to our text or why we feel like we're always the one reaching out. The truth is, if we don't set clear boundaries, we fall into the trap of living in other people's emotional chaos. The problem is not the chaos itself, but our willingness to stay in it. When you start setting boundaries, it's like stepping out of someone else's storm and into your own calm. It's the moment when you choose to be in control of your emotional state, not them. And yes, at first, it feels difficult. It feels like you're breaking a pattern. It feels like you're choosing yourself over them. But that's exactly what you should be doing. Choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's essential. And in the silence that follows, she'll start to notice. When you stop chasing her attention, when you stop doubting your worth, when you start choosing your peace over her drama, she'll feel the vacuum. The space you've created with your boundaries will be loud in its silence. She'll feel it, even if she doesn't understand it. She may even return to see if she can breach those boundaries, but by then, you'll be unrecognizable to her. You'll be the man who learned how to protect his peace. Remember, boundaries are not about cutting off people from your life. They're about protecting your energy. They're the difference between being available to everything and being available to the things that truly matter. When you set them, you not only elevate your own self-worth, but you also teach others how to treat you. When you protect your peace, you protect your soul. And when your soul is intact, no one can hurt you in the same way ever again. Point 5. Build your confidence from within, not from others' approval. The greatest form of independence lies in your ability to stand tall without the crutches of validation. It's so easy to fall into the trap of seeking approval from others, especially after you've been hurt. The tendency to search for external affirmations, whether from friends, family, or even from her, is natural. After all, when we are betrayed or rejected, it feels like our worth is in question. But true confidence doesn't come from the applause of others. It comes from a deeper, unshakable belief in yourself. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, taught us that it's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. When you start to depend on others to define your worth, you've given them the power to shape how you feel about yourself. You've allowed the fickle nature of external approval to dictate your emotional state. But what if you stopped asking for permission to feel worthy? True confidence arises when you realize that your value is not dependent on external opinions. You are worthy simply because you are. In a world obsessed with instant validation through likes, comments, or attention, it's easy to lose sight of this truth. But the Stoics remind us to look inward, not outward, for validation. They believe that a man who is content with his inner state does not need to seek approval. His actions, his discipline, and his inner harmony are enough. When you stop looking for approval, your confidence begins to shine naturally. This doesn't mean you don't care about others or you become aloof. It means that you learn to define yourself through your own standards. When she hurt you, she may have tried to shake your sense of worth. But what she couldn't take was your internal foundation, your confidence in your own growth, your strength, your wisdom. Building your confidence starts with small steps. Instead of focusing on how others see you, start focusing on how you see yourself. Wake up each day and remind yourself of what you've accomplished, not just in the world, but in the journey within. Look at how far you've come despite the pain, despite the setbacks. Your resilience is proof of your strength, but it's not just about acknowledging your achievements. True self-confidence comes from recognizing your flaws, your mistakes, and your lessons. It comes from saying, I am not perfect, but I am continuously improving, and that is enough. When you embrace yourself, flaws and all, you stop being dependent on others' approval to feel whole. When you stand firm in your self-worth, you stop seeking validation from her. You no longer beg for attention. Your very presence commands respect because you no longer need to prove your worth to anyone. You are enough as you are, and it's this self-assurance that makes you magnetic, not because you're seeking validation, but because you're comfortable in your own skin. As you continue to build your confidence, you'll notice something incredible. You become a mirror. You no longer chase her, nor do you cling to the idea of what she once was. Instead, you reflect the truth of your worth. And just like a mirror, Your energy will naturally show her what she lost. You won't need to make her see it. She'll feel it in every interaction, in the calm confidence you exude. So stop waiting for others to tell you that you're enough. Stop seeking her approval. Stop relying on anyone but yourself to validate your worth. When you build your confidence from within, you create a fortress that no one can break down. And in that fortress, you'll find peace, strength, and a sense of purpose that can never be shaken. Remember, your worth is not determined by someone else's opinion of you. It's determined by how deeply you respect and value yourself. Point 6. Embrace self-reliance. Your strength lies in independence. One of the hardest truths to accept after being hurt is that sometimes no one is coming to save you. Not her, not anyone. And this realization can be daunting, especially when you're used to seeking comfort in others or expecting them to fill the void left by the pain. But here's the catch. No one can truly heal you but yourself. The Stoics knew this very well. Seneca, in his writings, famously said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Too often, we wait for external forces, for that apology, for that closure, for that moment when everything magically falls back into place. But while we wait, life moves on. Your healing and your growth are entirely in your hands. The beauty of self-reliance is that it grants you power over your own life. When you become dependent on external validation or someone else's actions, you surrender your power. You give others the ability to dictate how you feel, whether you realize it or not. But true strength, the kind that can't be shaken by anyone or anything, comes when you learn to rely on yourself. Self-reliance isn't just about being independent. It's about recognizing that your emotional state is yours to control. It's realizing that no one can define your worth, your happiness, or your purpose unless you let them. In the face of betrayal or pain, self-reliance is the art of trusting yourself enough to know that you don't need someone else to feel whole again. When you rely on yourself, you stop waiting for someone to change or to fix things. Instead, you focus on what you can change: your actions, your thoughts, and most importantly, your response to adversity. The Stoics believe that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. This is the essence of self-reliance. Imagine for a moment waking up each day knowing that you are enough, not because of someone else's opinion, but because of the strength you've cultivated within yourself. You don't need validation. You don't need an apology. You don't need anyone to fix what was broken, because you've learned to fix yourself. You've learned that your worth is not dependent on external circumstances. Self-reliance means you trust in your own ability to navigate life's challenges. You don't need her approval to feel complete. You don't need her presence to validate your existence. You've become your own source of strength, your own refuge, your own anchor. And the irony is, when you become self-reliant, when you stop seeking approval and start depending on your own emotional resilience, you become magnetic. People are drawn to your inner strength, your confidence, and your independence. You stop being in the chase, and suddenly you find that what you've been seeking, respect, admiration, and even love, comes to you naturally. But it all starts with you. It starts by choosing to rely on yourself, by choosing to take responsibility for your emotional state and your own growth, by recognizing that the only person who can make you feel whole again is you. So, take that step today. Start relying on yourself. Start healing yourself. Start rebuilding yourself. Because when you do, you'll realize that you were always strong enough to overcome anything. And that realization will be your greatest victory. Point 7. Regain trust. Trust yourself first, and then others will follow. When someone betrays your trust, it feels like a dagger straight to the heart. The weight of that broken trust can leave you questioning everything: your own judgment, your ability to love, and even your worth. The reality is, trust is one of the most fragile things we possess. It takes years to build, but only moments to shatter. But here's the truth no one tells you. You must first learn to trust yourself again. If you've been hurt by someone, whether a partner or a friend, it's easy to begin doubting your own instincts. You might even ask yourself, how could I have not seen this coming? But here's the thing. Trusting yourself is the first step in reclaiming your ability to trust others. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If you constantly doubt your own judgment and feel incapable of discerning who is worthy of your trust, then you're allowing someone else's actions to dictate your mental state. But the path to healing begins with recognizing that your judgment is still strong. Your ability to discern the good from the bad is still intact. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that love is supposed to be perfect, but that's not true. Real, authentic love requires vulnerability, and vulnerability opens the door to risk of betrayal, risk of pain. Yet, without that risk, there's no deep connection. Trust isn't a one-time action, it's a continuous choice. And the first person you need to trust is yourself. To regain your ability to trust others, you must trust that you are capable of handling the consequences of that trust. The Stoics teach us that life is not about avoiding pain, but learning how to endure it with dignity and grace. They encourage us to develop an inner fortress of resilience so that when others fail us, we don't collapse under the weight of disappointment. But how do you regain that trust? Start by forgiving yourself. Understand that you did the best you could with the information and emotions you had at the time. Yes, people hurt you, but you can learn from that experience. Every time someone breaks your trust, it teaches you something valuable about yourself. The power lies in using that lesson to grow stronger, not in allowing the hurt to define you. Trust is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. But to rebuild it, you need to trust wisely, slowly, and intentionally. Trust isn't about letting people walk all over you. It's about choosing the right people to let in and setting boundaries when necessary. When you start trusting yourself, you'll stop living in fear of being hurt again. You'll stop second-guessing your choices and begin making decisions with confidence. And when you trust yourself, others will start to trust you too. Your strength, your resilience, and your ability to move forward will send a clear message. You are not defined by past betrayals. You are defined by your capacity to rise above them. In time, when you trust yourself fully again, you'll find that the world opens up to you in ways you never imagined. The right people will be drawn to your strength, and the ones who once betrayed you will realize that the trust they lost wasn't just yours, it was a part of the bond you both shared. They'll see what they lost, but by then, you'll be moving forward, stronger than ever. Trust is not a gift you give freely. It's a choice you make, both for yourself and for those you allow into your life. And once you regain that trust in yourself and others, you'll be untouchable. Conclusion. In the end, healing from a betrayal or emotional hurt isn't a linear journey. It's a process, a gradual restoration of trust, first in yourself, then in others. Each of the steps we've discussed today, from building your inner confidence to embracing self-reliance and regaining trust, are tools that not only help you overcome past pain, but also elevate you into a stronger version of yourself. By trusting yourself, by not relying on anyone else for validation or closure, you cultivate an inner strength that can't be broken. You become a beacon of your own worth, grounded in the knowledge that you control your narrative. And once you've regained that trust, both in yourself and in the world, you'll be amazed at how much peace and confidence you can bring into your life. The person who hurt you might not ever realize what they lost, but you will have already moved forward, wiser and more resilient. Remember, The key to overcoming emotional hurt is not in waiting for someone else to change, but in changing your relationship with yourself. Reclaim your power, heal from within, and take charge of your life once again. The journey might be challenging, but with each step, you are transforming into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. If you found these insights valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support means the world and helps us continue creating more content to guide you through life's emotional challenges. Share this video with those who may need a reminder of their strength and potential. Let's keep growing together. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay strong, stay confident.